I'm Jim Longworth, and welcome to a special edition of Triad Today as we spend the next half hour saluting higher education and looking back on some conversations we had with some educators. Let's watch. On my right is a special guest that's been with us before. We're always glad when she can spare a few minutes for us. Dr. Janet Spriggs, President for Site Tech. Welcome back.
Thank you so much. Good to be here.
And Janet, you brought along a special guest, Greg Purvis, coordinator of what's I'm going to call the new aviation program. Good to see you.
It's good to be here. Thank you.
Thanks for doing it. Janet, let me start with you. What was the impetus behind starting an aviation program?
Well, you know, at Forsyth Tech and at all community colleges, our biggest job is to make sure that we're meeting the needs of the industries in our communities that we serve. And in Winston-Salem and Stokes County and the greater Piedmont Triad region, aviation is an important part of the industry. So it was important for us to be providing that skilled workforce for the businesses and industries that need aviation workers.
Now, I'm not a very smart person some days, but even I know that because I've been to your campus and office and whatever, I know you can't park a bunch of planes right there in front of your office. So now where is this program going to be offered?
It's located at the Z. Smith Reynolds Airport, so we were very pleased to be able to partner with our county commission, and we have leased space there for a new building that is paid for with county bond debt. It's about 53,000 square feet of dedicated aviation training facility.
I think that's great. Greg, let me turn to you. What types of things will your aviation students learn?
Well, they'll come out with two certificates. One of them is their airframe license, and the other is their parapent license. And with that, with the airframe size, they can work on anything on the airframe itself. And so including the avionics inside. And then with the power plant section, think of the jet engine, all the way down to the reciprocating engine, like on a car, and they'll be working on that also.
Let me ask a stupid question. I'm guessing, based on what you just said, that they'll come out of your program and be sort of ready to go if one of the airlines or private airlines calls and says, hey, Greg, we need some people. They're going to be ready, right?
That is correct. One of the Forsyth Tech students that's graduated could be working for the airlines, and you could be right on that flight and look down and go, yeah, that's one of our students. Yeah. So yes, they could go right in to work with the airlines.
You know, reading about your background, you come from an aviation background, worked in the industry. Yes. It's got to be exciting for you to be heading up this program on this level when you know you came from the real deal. I mean, what's going through your head?
I feel fortunate every single day to be in aviation. But then to be part of Forsyth Tech and being part of the program and this growing and seeing it from the ground up and seeing the students that will be coming and trying to help them going to a field that I love, it's very rewarding.
Yeah. Janet, I'm going to ask you to sort of circle back from where we started, and you touched on this a little bit, but before time runs out, I'm just wondering, can you sort of summarize for us what this aviation program is going to mean for the community and for our overall economy?
Sure, absolutely. Well, first of all, it's going to mean livable wage career opportunities for our community. Students, particularly in the East Winston district, you know, we're heavily recruiting in that district for students into this program. We have a certificate program we'll be launching next year for Carver High School students.
Wow.
To be able to earn credit in high school and move right into the program once they graduate. So it's going to be an incredible economic boost for that specific district, but also for the entire region, and again, help those employers find qualified, skilled workforce, which is critically important for all of our economy.
Yeah, so you and Greg are going to get the high school students all excited about this before they even get to that point, right?
That's exactly right.
That's just great.
Yeah.
I want to put up a website here. Now, normally we just say go to forsythtech.edu. But if you do one of those little slashes, I'm not very technically oriented, and that's pitiful considering who I'm sitting next to. But hash or slash, whatever you call it, put aviation on there. So it's forsythtech.edu/aviation, and you'll learn all about it and how to get involved. Greg, thanks for doing this, man.
Well, I sure appreciate it. Thank you.
Looking forward to your leadership. Janet, thanks for bringing him along.
You're so welcome. Thank you for having us.
All right. We'll be right back. Oh, back now on Triad Today, I'm looking at Triumph Over Abuse. It's a new book by a good friend of ours who's been on the show before. It's by Christine Murray. She's with us now. She's director of the Center for Youth, Family, and Community Partnerships at UNCG. Thanks for bringing the book, and thanks for being here.
Sure, thanks for having me.
Serious topic of domestic violence, domestic abuse. What's the main message of the book?
Well, the main message of this book is really that survivors, even though they've been through a traumatic, difficult experience of having been abused, that they can recover, that it can be a lengthy process, but that better days can be ahead for them.
Now, this may sound like a weird question, but since we've gone through this pandemic and we're still in it, has that affected negatively or otherwise a victim's ability to heal the way he or she would want?
Well, I think it's going to take a long time to see what the lingering effects of the pandemic are for survivors of abuse, but certainly the increased isolation that people have experienced, possibly financial stress or additional stressors that people are facing can really compound some of those long-term traumatic effects of abuse.
What are some of the challenges that a victim of domestic abuse faces in trying to heal?
Well, it's difficult to rebuild your life after abuse while you're also dealing with the day-to-day stressors and demands, even in normal times, but especially right now during the pandemic. So a lot of survivors face mental health symptoms or challenges. There might be ongoing custody issues and concerns, especially if they share children with their former abuser. Also really overcoming some of that isolation and building new social support systems and rebuilding connections with other friends or family members that they might have lost touch with during the relationship.
Now, in what ways can friends and family support someone who is trying to do ongoing, and maybe that's the wrong term, ongoing healing from domestic abuse that's happened recently or way in the past, either one? What can friends and family do?
I think that one of the most important things that friends and family can do to offer support is just to be a really consistent, non-judgmental source of validation and encouragement along that journey. And I think it's also important for friends and family members to know their limitations. And especially if you're not a trained professional to deal with mental health or trauma, domestic violence, learn about some of the resources in the community that you could help connect your loved one to.
Absolutely, and just to paraphrase, and hope I don't do this incorrectly, but one section of the book you were talking, I think you said something like your oldest friends are not necessarily the ones that are always going to be the most supportive. And they may not mean anything by that, but like you said, they may not be capable of giving you the support you need, and therein lies the reason for finding resources like this book. I'm going to hold it up again in just a minute as well. What kind of hope can you share with folks that may be watching now and going through everything that they've gone through and maybe are going through? What hope can you share for their healing process?
Even if you've been through some really difficult times in your life, you can heal from that. You can overcome and you can experience a beautiful, wonderful future ahead. And it can take work and it can be a difficult process to recover from it. But if you lean into your support network, if you learn about that healing process and be intentional about the work that you're doing, the rest of your life doesn't have to be defined by the abuse that you've experienced.
Right. And the thing I always hate to hear some people say is, and we didn't rehearse this, but I just, you're here and I thought I'd just mention it. You've heard it many times before. Somebody say, well, if she's in an abusive relationship, just tell her to get out.
It's not that easy. There's a lot of reasons why somebody ends up staying in an abusive relationship. Leaving an abusive relationship can be the most dangerous time to leave that relationship.
Because it could escalate.
It could definitely escalate, so it's important, especially at that time, to reach out for professional support to local resources or the National Domestic Violence Hotline.
All right, now up on screen, I want to do a couple things here. One, for your department where you handle all these kind of things, and it's cyfcp.uncg.edu, which of course stands for Center for Youth, Family, Community Partnerships, the general website, uncg.edu. I'm going to hold the book up again to remind myself that you can get this on Amazon, and I'm assuming some other places, Triumph Over Abuse by Christine Murray. It's a great book. I recommend it. And I just thank you for all the work you're doing.
Well, thanks so much for all your support, Jim. We appreciate it.
Well, we're proud of you. All right, we'll be right back after this. Today, always glad when the good folks at Carolina University can drop by and visit with us, let us know what's going on over there. And also today, we sort of focus on something they're very famous for, which is their divinity school. And we're going to talk to two folks who can tell us all about that. On my immediate right, Dr. Jerry Humlinger, who is a Dean and Professor of Theology at Piedmont Divinity School at Carolina University. And also joining us, Dr. Mark Gregory, Interim Director of the Divinity School. Welcome, guys. Good to see you.
Thanks. Good to see you.
Glad to be with you.
Jerry, let me start with you and just ask what kind of degree programs that you offer through the Divinity School. I think folks would find that interesting.
Well, I would begin by saying that all of our programs are rich in Bible theology ministry. So as a divinity school, that's what we do. On the undergrad side, we have a certificate in Bible, an associate's in Bible, and then a Bachelor of Arts in Biblical Studies. And on the graduate side, we have a Master of Ministry degree, which is very balanced between Bible and theology and ministry, which, by the way, is available not only in English, but Spanish and Portuguese.
Wow.
And we then have a very research-intensive Master of Arts in Biblical Studies, and then a 72-hour Master of Divinity.
And who would, we didn't rehearse this or anything, I'm just curious, somebody goes through those tracks and gets all this knowledge and research and everything, what typically do they go to? What kind of career do they go into other than just the ministry? Do they do in other fields at churches or what?
Yeah, it's really pretty wide open. They can, any kind of pastoral role in a church, educational roles. They can go into parachurch ministries, or sometimes people just want to be more efficient as a layman.
Right,
in that field, whatever
absolutely.
they do.
Mark, who can benefit from these programs in general? How would you describe that?
Well, certainly the senior pastors, those who are staff ministers on churches, benefit from the additional enhanced work in theology as well as in practical ministry. And then the laypersons, as Jerry mentioned, certainly can benefit. We see that there are a number of individuals who are committed believers and who want to learn more, but to do so in a very sequenced process, with a sequenced process and a learning environment that really allows them to flourish, to gain more biblical knowledge. The ultimate, of course, benefit for these individuals is what they can transfer into their church setting. Sometimes that's in Sunday school, sometimes it's teaching small groups. There's a whole host of individuals who really benefit ultimately from it.
Absolutely, and not just for the younger people, but I guess anybody of any age. I guess my question is, in this day and age where money's tight, do you guys offer any scholarships or incentives for the students?
We do. Carolina University, as a university, has a large capacity for financial assistance. In fact, 96% of our students benefit from financial assistance.
That's great.
Yeah, and that covers the whole gamut of everything from grants all the way to loans, whatever it might be. And I think that's very significant. But there's another component that I think is very beneficial for especially a divinity school student in the master's program. It's called the Piedmont Ministry Scholarship. That program is a 75% scholarship that is applied directly to tuition. In essence, each course costs approximately $297. So you can do a whole 30-hour program for $3,000 or slightly under. This is tuition only. What that means is that for the $3,000 for the whole program, that is comparable to roughly one semester at most other divinity schools.
And of course, that removes that big barrier of cost, which so many students are struggling with this day. Before time runs out, Jerry, let me go back to you. Get a quick plug in for the faculty in general and what they bring to the educational experience quickly.
We are very excited about our faculty. In fact, Mark and I talk about that frequently, whether it's Hebrew, Greek, church history, theology, whatever. Our profs have terminal degrees in those disciplines from some of the most reputable seminaries in the country. They have vast ministry experience, ongoing ministry experience, and something that always amazes me is when I observe them online or in class or outside of class, keen interest in students as individuals.
We've got a key component there, and I know you're proud of them. On screen, before we lose time here, I do want to put this up. divinity.carolinau.edu is the website for the Divinity School, and the general website, carolinau.edu. Please check that out and learn more about Carolina University. Will you gentlemen come back sometime?
Be glad to. Thank you.
I want to learn more about it. Thanks a lot for your help. We'll be right back after this. On Triad Today, always glad we can spend a few minutes with the good folks from Alamance Community College, and we have a first-time visitor from the campus here today. So glad she's here. Sally Newman is with us. She's Director of Occupational Programs for Alamance Community College. Good to see you.
Thank you. It's good to be here.
Thanks for coming to the garden. It's pretty, isn't it?
It's gorgeous.
I would say that I planted everything, but I didn't have anything to do with it. What exactly do we mean when we say occupational programs? What does that entail in today's job market? Help me out on that.
That entails us setting up training programs, heavy equipment programs, medical programs. We have phlebotomy, we have medical assistant, we have personal care assistant.
You got a wide range of things.
We have a very wide range to help people to get new skills or to upgrade their skills.
Yeah, I was getting ready to ask you, because some people will say, well, I'm kind of already in that field, I want to upgrade. Other people say, I've just either been laid off
Yeah.
or during the pandemic, or I'm looking for a new career change, and you can help in either situation.
Either situation, all they have to do is call the Workforce Continuing Education Department at Alamance Community College, and we are there ready to help them.
Now, I've talked before with the president of Alamance Community College, and we've talked about this before, but it seems to me that you really focus on trying to stay up with industry and what their
Yes.
needs are. And is that how you kind of tailor what you're going to offer for training? Because there's no sense in training somebody for something if the job isn't there.
Exactly, yes, and we have a lot of logistics companies coming to Alamance and Gifford too, but of course I'm in Alamance, so we're looking at starting logistic technicians, logistic maintenance workers as well. So yes, we do have to keep up with what the latest trend is as far as relevant jobs and with good paying wages as well.
What kind of classes are coming up anytime soon that somebody might want to register for?
We do have the medical assistant class coming up, and we have the personal assistant, and that's non-medical. That's where they don't have to get medicine.
Right,
And then we
right.
have heavy equipment coming up in the fall.
So you're talking about somebody learning what, to run a combine or run a machine in an industry, or?
Definitely doing excavators.
Oh, yeah, okay.
So
bulldozers
the bulldozers where you see out on the highway where they're doing all the construction.
Wow.
And because we partner with Triangle Paving and Grading, so the Kirkpatrick, so the students actually get hands-on with the machines. They go to job sites with Triangle Paving.
Yeah.
So yes, that's what. And then they also have to learn the maintenance. They have to do a little bit of math. They do some blueprint reading, so it's totally hands-on.
Wow, I think that's really neat.
Yeah.
Now, I know that this isn't for free,
No.
but are there, if I say to you, well, wait a minute, Sally, I'm kind of strapped for cash through the pandemic, are there scholarships available?
Yes, Alamance, our foundation is very good as providing partial scholarships for our students, and not all the community colleges does that, so I consider us very fortunate to work very well with our foundation. And sometimes we will do full scholarship. It just depends on the person's situation. And then not only that, we have our workforce partners, and they have scholarship. And then we have some of the COVID money for scholarship as well. So that should not be a hindrance for anyone seeking us out about new training.
I just think that's great.
Yeah.
We didn't rehearse this or anything. I'm just curious. I know you love your job. You get a lot of gratification from it. Is that because you're helping people get work, or what?
Yeah, I'm just passionate about education, period. I think truly the community college is that bridge between high school and someone getting a job or going to a 4-year college. So I do believe us being that bridge.
You are a human bridge builder. That's what
Thank you, I
are.
like that.
That's what you are, Sally. That's your new title.
I like that.
Yeah, you go back and tell the president. That's
I
what
will.
said. Up on screen is the general website, alamancecc.edu. Please visit that. All sorts of good information. The main campus number, 5782002. There are a couple different campuses, but I just gave you the main one. But you can go to the website and find out what you need. Human bridge builders.
Human bridge
Sally,
builder.
good
I
to
like
see you.
that. Thank you. It's
All
a
right.
pleasure.
We'll be right back. Today, and we normally don't talk about colleges from like the eastern part of the state. I mean, because this is Triad Today. But anyway, we have a special guest here who emailed me and said, oh yeah, we're going to sort of talk about a college in the eastern part of the state. Next to me is our good friend, Dr. Bob Shackleford, who's president of Randolph Community College. Welcome to you. Good to see you.
Good to see you, Jim. Good to be with you.
Now, you said you signed some agreement with another college, and I want to know what that's all about.
Well, we did. We had a great signing ceremony last week with Mount Olive, the University of Mount Olive in eastern North Carolina. And it's an agreement about transferring our agricultural programs. We've just gotten into agriculture the last year or so.
That's
have
right.
A great young man, Derek Coleman, who's very enthusiastic. And we've got an agreement with them so that not only do all of our credits transfer, but for the junior and senior year, they will come up here to our campus and teach junior and senior year courses along with some online courses, and they can get an actual degree, a bachelor's degree in agriculture from the University of Mount Olive in Randolph County.
Yeah, now, I had never heard of that happening before. We talked before about transfer. We talked about transferring credits for various things. But for the transfer to go both ways so that you've got instructors coming up from Mount Olive to help with your students in Randolph is just amazing. That's going to be pretty cool.
It's an incredible opportunity. I mean, most transfer agreements are what we call 2+2. Take 2 years there and then come to us for 2 years.
Right.
They're saying take 2 years there and then we'll come to you the next 2 years.
That's fascinating. Now, let me go back to something you mentioned a minute ago when you said, yeah, we started this, and I didn't want to let it pass. We started this agriculture program because people who watch the show, people who've known you for years and your reputation, they know that Randolph has really been a leader in manufacturing and technology and all these things that get people prepared for jobs. Why the focus on agriculture?
It's really an amazing story, Jim. Randolph County, unknown to most people, has the most farms of any county in North Carolina.
I didn't know that.
We have 1,500 farms that sell about over $250 million in goods every year. We're not the typical tobacco farming county in North Carolina. We're number one in beef cattle. We're number one in goats. We're number two in dairy cattle. We're number three in hay.
You got horse farms?
Horse farms, we're number 6 in eggs. Broilers and layers, we're number 6. We lead the top in nearly every category. And who would think of Randolph County having 1,500 farms?
Yeah, and these programs that Mount Olive are not, when you're starting the agricultural programs, they're pretty diverse kinds of courses too in terms of the kind of careers that people can go in.
That's exactly right. People think of agriculture as just the family farm, and the kids grow up on the family farm and then they do it. But it's a big business. It's a huge part of the economy of Randolph County and North Carolina, actually. And so we started a program in agribusiness. Not only how do you go out and plant seeds and get a crop in if the weather's good, but how do you make a living? How do you turn this into a productive business? And so we're teaching courses under agribusiness. We're teaching horticulture, agritourism, agricultural mechanics. We're teaching people chemistry courses that will help them with soil preparation, productivity, how to make your crops more productive.
So you're really holding to what you've always done, which is to make sure you're having relevant courses where there are jobs out there now that people can do. I just think that's great. I want to, before time gets away, put up the website, of course, where you can find out all sorts of information about Randolph Community College, and that is www.randolph.edu, randolph.edu. And I think this is just fascinating. It's a whole new dimension that's going to help your students and help the whole region, Bob, and I appreciate it.
Well, one last thing I'll mention about the new dimensions. We are starting a zoological horticulture program working with the North Carolina Zoo. They spend 6 times more money on plants than they do animals. That's going to be our lab.
Wow. We ought to get somebody from the zoo to come back with you, too. That's pretty good.
That'd be great.
We'll do that. All right. Good news. Thanks, Bob. I appreciate
Thank you.
it. Well, that's all for this special edition of Triad Today. I'm Jim Longworth. We'll see you next week.